Hey Jackal! In my last video, I made an audio visualizer and made it into a template, which is this one. The idea was that I can easily change the image, which I can simply drag it into the template. The image changes and I can set the position and the size, but I forgot to include the option to change the music. And also this UI doesn't look as good, especially if you consider that you can make it into something like this. Which is exactly what I'll show you how to do, so you don't have to make a macro from the beginning. And you'll also be able to make some changes along the way. Now let's get digital. So we have this original template, I just put some background behind, and we want to change it from this to this. How can you go about doing that? First we'll go to the Fusion page, and we just have to select one node to get to the path. So macro, make one. Save as group, you don't want to save it, and then find the path where this macro is saved. In my case, this is under templates, edit, and generators. So I'll copy this path, and I'll open it. Now this is the one that is already working. I will leave this one as is, and I will copy this one, paste it, and I'll just call this one tut. So I know which one I'm changing. Now I have to open this in text editor. I'm using notepad++. And why I'm using the notepad++ is because I can have both files opened in the same window, so I can make comparison between the two. Now the first thing that we want to do is to split this into separate tabs. So here we have control and settings. You can't change this to, not as far as I know, but you can add other ones. So here we have image and color. So let's do that. We'll have one control for the audio or the waveform. Then we'll have the settings for the image and the color of the actual visualizer. And also, as you can see, when I made a copy, this file is now also present here, so I can simply put it onto a timeline and see the changes that I'll make. So if you want to make the tabs, we'll simply add page equals, in quotes, type in the name of the page. The first one is controls by default. You don't have to do this, but this is how it is basically done. Now the page goes under one of the inputs, and all of the other inputs that follow this one that has the page controls will be listed under controls, and this is by default. So what I'll do is I'll simply cut this page out, because this is by default. Everything is under controls, as you can see, and what I want to do is place a new page after, let's see, after the threshold. So find the threshold, we have the threshold here, and now we have the background, so this will be a new page, and call it color, because this is the background. So everything that has to do with the background, which is this will be the color, and then we have the image. So after the glow we have the image. You can also use Ctrl F, find glow, and we have the image right here, so this will be a new page. And we can call this one image. Save the visualizer. This will take some time to take effect. So we have the controls. Immediately what you can see is we have place image here. We'll have to fix that. We actually have to use the audio for this. Then we have the color. We basically have everything, and we have the image. So what I'll do now is I'll go to the first property. This one actually has image, as you can see. So I'll take this control, cut it, go to the end. So we have the image here. I'll paste the image to this point, and the image name has to be on the top. So I'll actually cut this page and paste it to this input. Now if I put this in, we'll have the audio controls, color controls, and the image controls. Now what happens with the image? Let's put it in. As you can see, the image is way off. So maybe what we would need is the center to be, and the size also, the default should maybe be 1. We can do that. So let's change the values. We can see the default value here. This is for the size, simply type in 1. What about the center size? It's not listed here. We'll have to go down and find it. And you can find it by simply typing in the name of the node. So in this case, transform 3. And this is the value that was used. So in this case, I'll simply just put 0.5 and 0.5. Save this again. put it onto a timeline, and the center position should be fixed. The center position is fixed, but the size is not. It still begins at 2.6 something, but if you double click, this is set to 1. So we have to fix the initial value to also be 1. And this is simply done right below here. Replace all of these values with 1. So the image is done. Let's see the color. We have everything done. We can maybe change the names. So glow threshold, glow gain, and glow size. Let's find the glow. And what you have to do, don't change the source, you have to change the name. So type in name equals quotations, and the last one will be glow size. So we have the naming changed. You could also change other names if you wanted to. Now let's actually go to the controls and add the audio input, because currently we don't have it. If you save the template badly, like I did, and you don't have a control, and you use the Save as Group option when you made the macro, you can still go back into the Fusion page and you'll be able to open the node tree. If you didn't save as a group, you still have the ability to get to this point. You'll have to go to the notepad. As you can see in the macro tool, this is set to group operator. And if you didn't save as group, this will be typed in as macro operator. So simply change the name macro to group and you'll be able to see all of the nodes. Now in the audio waveform, what we need is this option, the wave file. Now what you can do if you forgot to enable an option, the easiest way to do it is to make a macro of that node, enable that option, in this case it's wave file, save it as a group, and I'll simply put this into the generator, and I'll call this stylized audio wave file, so I know which one is which. And now I can simply open this one in the Notepad++, and the option that I want is this one. Well, just the input, because I already have a lot of inputs. So I'll go to the beginning, so copy and paste, but now I have to take note of the number of the input. I have number of input 1 here, and I can simply change this. So the last value is 31, so I'll go with 32. So the inputs don't have to start at 1 at the top. It could also be 50, but you shouldn't have multiple of the same values, otherwise some input will override a different input. So let's save this, put the visualizer on. Now you have the option to change the wave file. You have to use the button and change the file. Sadly, you can't just use the media pool and drag it in like we could do with the image. But what I want to do is change this path to display a text that is actually useful to us. So what I want to do is display that we are limited with 50 megabytes. I can also type in here a name and change the wave file to display something else. So put in wave. And now I want to find this path. So we have the path here. I'll simply put something else in. Let's put the new template on. Put in wave file, limit of 50 megabytes. So this is done. We can do the same for the image, place image. So we have the path, I'll delete the path. And as for the text, I'll change this to, so we have place image, and this will continue from the media pool. Or instead of place image, we could put in drag image from media pool. Now let's take a look at the proxy sampling and zoom. I want this value to be 2 by default. So let's find proxy. Input value, let's change this to 2. And zoom also to 2. And change this value to 2. Also the zoom value to 2. And that's it. Let's see if this change actually affects the template. It does not, as you can see. The default value does apply, but the one didn't. So let's see if there is anything that we can do that was similar to the size. So it doesn't seem like there is anything that we can do when it comes to the default value, but at least now we can double click to get this to 2. Now the last thing that I wanted to show you is how you can put some division lines between elements. Like in this example, we have one division line here, one here, and also one here. And this one made the most sense to me, so I'll start with this one. Now I'll go inside this template, go into the Fusion page, open the macro tool, And the division line that we want to add is to the background 2 node. So we'll add it at the bottom. How you do that is right click, edit controls. In the drop down menu, you have two blanks, blank 2 or blank 5. I'll just use blank 2. And also under the page, choose color. So I'll do that, and now you can see the blank control. But if you want to make a macro in this way, you won't get the option to enable this blank line. So I'll now copy the node, paste it right here, and now let's take a look how to make the division line. This is the background 2 node, which you can see here, and this is the blank line, or the division line, which is at the bottom. And now we have to apply this blank 2 division code to the background node in this template. So this will also go to the background 2, so we can find background 2. We have the background 2, this is this section. We have the view info, and we'll put the user controls after the view info. Now just make sure that everything is as it should be. It is, so the background closes with this one. So just position how this should be positioned with tabs. Now in this case, the ICS control page is set to color, which is correct. We want this blank line to be on the color page. But we can simply remove this line or cut it out, because we can actually reuse this blank 2 property, so the division line, and apply it to other pages. Now we want to apply this division above the glow threshold, so let's find that input. So we have the glow threshold. This is also an input, and this will be input 33 because the last one was 32. Instance input. Now I'll copy this ICS control page. This will be set to color. And now this is also very important. We'll have the source OP. This is the background 2 node that this blank line is applied to. And we have the source. In this case, blank 2. And if you take a look what blank 2 is this. And we'll be applying this blank 2 to the control page named color. And this will be before the soft glow. So let's save the template and test it out. And as you can see, we have the division line on top of the glow. And we can now do the same if you want the division line after the name and also after maybe this input. So let's quickly do that. I'll simply copy this input. We want the division line to be under this file input, which will be here. This one will be now 34, and the control page, this one will be controls with an S. If you type in control, this will make a new tab. So this one is done, and the last one will be under the image input. So we have the image input right here, and this one will be 35. And change the control page to image. Save it and test it out. So we have one division line, second division line, and the third division line. And now does this work? It should. Put some file in, and this is how you can fix the template. And in case you would want to add some other nodes to the template, you can also do that. So let's say that I have a different timeline. Change this to a vertical resolution, just like this. Put the visualizer in, change the image, and change the file. And you can see the image is off. This can be fixed with the sizing. This has to do with the masking. So you can go to the Fusion page. And this is the mask that controls the size. So what I can do at this point is make a copy of this node, paste an instance of it, connect it to this node, and what I'll also do, first I have to the instance the width and the height. I'll type in equals so that I only need to change one value, in this case the height, and I'll be able to adjust this value. So I could now copy this node, paste it at the end. Let's see what we got. So we get this tool, not really what I want. So I'll simply save this as a macro and I'll override this one. Now let's open it up and see what we have inside. So this is the section that was missing in the outputs, and also we don't have any inputs. So if we take a look at the nodes, this new node will be the mask of the unbridged tree. Find the unbridged tree and the effect mask, and you have to change the source OP value. And the value of this one will be instance ellipse 1-1. But now we also have to specify what the instance ellipse 1-1 is. And this is where we can put that. We have the instance ellipse 1. So I'll simply copy all of these, paste it here, and don't forget the comma. Now what about the inputs? We do need some inputs, and we want to put those inputs under the image. So this will be at the end. So we can have input 36, and I'll take this one for the center. 36, copy the name, and paste it inside here. Now the source could be center, but we just want to position the height, so I'll type in height. Save this, wait a little bit so this saves, and then we'll test out the template. Let's test out the template. We have the height option. By default this is the value, and if we double click this is set to 0. We could also fix that if you wanted to. Let's just test it out, and we also need the WAV file to see the actual image. So this is all good. Let's change the size, and we could also change the size. So this is fixed. Let's test it in this timeline. Well, in this case the size should be bigger, and scale this one down just like so. So in case you forgot to add the control when you made the template, you can also add it after, just like this one. And this is how you can change and fix badly saved DaVinci Resolve templates. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, jackals, keep it digital.